Hey guys, tonight we begin with a journey not of kings or empires, but of survival against the raw, unforgiving beauty of the American Southwest. We're diving deep into the world of an ancestral Puebloan clan, the people who built cities and cliffs and farmed in the desert thousands of years ago. Forget the romanticized images of a people living in perfect, effortless harmony with nature. The truth, as it so often is, was far more complex, far more difficult. It was a life of constant, grinding work, of profound uncertainty, and of challenges that you or I, with all our modern sensibilities, could scarcely comprehend. You probably wouldn't last a single season. So, before you get comfortable, if you genuinely enjoy these deep dives into the unvarnished past, I'd really appreciate a quick like or even a subscribe. It helps more than you know. I'm always curious where you all are listening from, building this little global community around these stories. So, drop a comment with your location and what time it is there. Now, dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. Settle in, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. We're going to explore what life was truly like inside a stone city in the desert, and why your very survival would depend on forgetting everything you think you know about comfort, safety, and the world around you. Congratulations. You haven't woken up in a specific year that you would recognize, but in a sun-drenched, windswept era around 1100 CE. You are in a place we now call the Four Corners region of the American Southwest. The good news is you are part of a thriving, complex society, a member of an ancestral Puebloan clan. The bad news is that the world you've just opened your eyes to is made almost entirely of stone, grit, and unrelenting sun. Your bed is not a bed. There is no mattress, no pillow, no soft sheets to untangle yourself from. You have spent the night on a woven yucca mat, laid directly upon the hard-packed clay floor of a stone room. The mat is expertly made, a testament to the weaver's skill, but it offers no real cushion against the unyielding earth. Every contour of the floor beneath has impressed itself upon your body through the night. Your hip bones, your shoulder blades, the back of your skull, they all feel the dull, persistent ache of pressure against a hard surface. This isn't the acute pain of an injury. It's a chronic, low-grade discomfort that you've known for so long it has become a part of your normal sensory experience. You stretch, and your joints pop and creak in protest, the sound echoing softly in the small, enclosed space. The air you breathe is cool and thin, carrying the mineral scent of dust and stone. Before the sun has had a chance to bake the landscape, the high desert night has bled all the warmth from the thick masonry walls that surround you. A deep, penetrating chill has settled into the room. You shiver, a convulsive shudder that runs through your entire body, and you pull a blanket tighter around your shoulders. It isn't a soft woolen blanket. It is woven from thousands of turkey feathers, their soft barbules cleverly twisted into a yucca fiber cordage. It's surprisingly effective insulation, trapping your body heat, but it's also coarse and heavy. It carries the faint, ever-present, and not unpleasant scent of wood smoke that clings to everything and everyone in this place. It is the perfume of your existence, a fragrance of juniper, pinyon, and communal fires that have never been allowed to fully die. You are not alone, not even close. The concept of a private bedroom, a space for individual retreat, is a luxury so distant it's utterly unimaginable. Your room is a small, box-like space, perhaps 10 by 12 feet, one of hundreds stacked together in a great pueblo, a sprawling stone apartment complex that climbs several stories high under the vast, empty sky. Or perhaps you are in a cliff dwelling, your home tucked into a massive, arching sandstone alcove, a city literally carved into the rock. In either case, you share this space with your immediate family. Your mother, the matriarch of this household, sleeps near the hearth. Her breathing is a soft, familiar rhythm. Your sisters are curled on their own mats nearby, their bodies close enough to share warmth. If you have children, they are nestled against you, their small bodies a source of heat and a constant, silent responsibility. You can hear the quiet snuffle of an infant, the occasional sigh of your grandmother sleeping in the corner, her body wizened and bent from a lifetime of labor. This is a matrilineal society, a world ordered through the female line. The homes, the farmlands, the very identity of the family are passed down from mother to daughter. This room you are in, with its sturdy stone walls and soot-blackened ceiling, belongs to your mother and her clan. It will one day belong to you and your sisters. Your father and your brothers sleep here now, as husbands and sons, but their truest familial ties are to the homes of their mothers and sisters, often in another part of the pueblo. It is a web of kinship, intricate, strong, and absolute, that holds your world together. You are never an individual first. You are a daughter, a sister, a mother, a member of your clan. Your every action reflects upon them, and their fortunes are your own. There are no windows as you would know them. A small, square opening in the wall, perhaps covered by a thin, translucent piece of selenite or a woven mat at night, is all that allows for air and a sliver of light. The primary entrance is an opening in the roof, a hatchway through which a sturdy, notched wooden ladder descends. This T-shaped doorway is a signature of your people's architecture. It is practical, helping to keep the room cool in the blistering summer and warmer in the freezing winter. It is also more defensible against outsiders, should they prove hostile. But it means that your home is perpetually dim, a cave of manufactured stone. The only significant light comes from the flickering orange glow of a small, central fire pit, which was carefully banked with ash last night to keep the embers alive. The smoke from that fire has no proper chimney. It is meant to find its own way out through the roof hatch. As a result, a thin haze always hangs in the air, making your eyes water and your throat feel perpetually dry. Respiratory problems are common among your people, a fact evident in the soot found in the lungs of your ancestors. You have a cough that never quite goes away. It is just another part of being alive. Your first conscious thought of the day, every day, is not about work, or food, or family. It is about water, a desperate, primal thirst that the sip you took from the clay pot before sleep did little to quench. Your mouth is dry and tastes of dust and smoke. You push yourself to your feet, your muscles stiff and cold. The floor is smooth, hard-packed adobe clay, cold against your bare soles. You own simple sandals woven from yucca fiber for wearing outside on the rough, hot ground, but inside, you are barefoot. The room, despite its small size, is meticulously organized, not out of a sense of modern aesthetics, but out of stark necessity. Space is too precious to be cluttered. Beautifully crafted pottery jars of various sizes line one wall, holding your clan's most precious resources: water, seeds for the next planting, and dried shelled corn. Your family's metate a large, slanted grinding stone and its smaller, loaf-shaped handheld mano sit in a corner, waiting for the day's first and most arduous task. Woven baskets, tight enough to hold water, hang from wooden pegs driven into the masonry. Every single object in this room was made by the hands of someone you know. Every object has a purpose. Nothing is merely ornamental. You look up towards the ladder. The first pale, diffused light of dawn is beginning to filter through the roof opening, painting a soft gray rectangle on the opposite wall. It is time to begin. Outside, the pueblo is stirring. You can hear the distant, faint sounds of other families waking, the soft murmur of voices, the cry of a baby. The day's first and most critical task awaits, a task that defines life in this arid land more than any other: the quest for water. It is a journey you will make every single day of your life, and it is a journey that could, at any moment, end in disaster, a journey that has already claimed the lives of people you knew. The thirst you feel upon waking is not a simple desire. It is a profound, physiological demand. It's a hollowness in your throat, a stickiness on your tongue, a silent alarm ringing throughout your body. In this high desert landscape, water is not a right or a convenience. It is a miracle, a sacred substance earned through grueling labor, and guarded with a reverence that borders on fear. Its scarcity governs every decision your clan makes, from where you build your homes to the prayers you offer to the spirits. You do not stumble a few feet to a kitchen sink and turn a handle. The very concept would be an impossible fantasy. Instead, you prepare for an expedition, a ritual of endurance that begins each day. You and the other women of your household, your sisters, your cousins, your mother, gather your pottery ollas. These are not just simple clay pots, they are masterpieces of form and function. Large, with a narrow neck to minimize splashing and evaporation, and a rounded body to maximize volume. Their surfaces are smooth and often decorated with intricate black-on-white geometric patterns that are the artistic signature of your people. These designs are more than mere decoration. They are visual prayers, symbols of clouds, lightning, and rain. An invocation for the very substance they are built to contain. You select your olla. It is heavy even when empty, a solid, substantial weight. You have several methods for carrying it. You might hoist it onto your back, settling its cool, curved surface against you, held in place by a wide woven strap that loops around the pot and across your chest. More likely, you use a tumplin, another woven strap that wraps around the olla and rests on your forehead. This allows the strong muscles of your neck and back to bear the load, freeing your hands. The tumplin is an extension of your body, but it digs a deep, persistent groove into your forehead. Or, if the pot is smaller, you might balance it directly on your head using a small, woven ring as a cushion. This is a skill learned in early childhood, practicing with small pots, and it requires a posture of impossible grace and strength. Now, the journey begins. If you live in a large pueblo on the floor of a wide canyon, like Chaco, your walk might be a mile or more to a hand-dug well in the riverbed or to the river itself. For most of the year, this river is not a rushing torrent, but a slow, shallow stream, a thin ribbon of life in a vast, dry expanse. The water may not be perfectly clear, and you know from experience that drinking from it carries risks, but it is the only reliable source. But if you live in one of the great cliff dwellings, like those at Mesa Verde, your journey is infinitely more perilous. You must first descend from your home, which is nestled high up in a protective sandstone alcove, hundreds of feet above the canyon floor. Your path is not a gentle, sloping trail. It is a series of small hand and toe holds, painstakingly pecked into the vertical face of the sandstone cliff by your ancestors. This is not a ladder. It is a suggestion of a path, a vertical puzzle that you must solve with your body. You move with a slow, deliberate grace that belies the terror of the height. Your body is pressed flat against the rough, sun-warmed rock. Your fingers, strong and calloused, find the familiar indentations. Your bare feet or yucca sandals find purchase in the shallow hole. You have done this thousands of times since you were a girl following your mother down this same path. But the danger is never gone. A loose rock, a moment of inattention, a sudden gust of wind funneling through the canyon, any of these could break your concentration and send you plummeting to the canyon floor below. You don't look down. You can't afford to. You focus on your breath, on the feel of the rough stone under your skin, on the weight of the empty pot on your back, and on the quiet prayer in your heart. After the breathtaking descent, your trek continues. You walk across the canyon floor, your sandals crunching on the dry earth, towards a seep or a spring. This is a place where groundwater, having traveled for miles through underground layers of rock, finally trickles out to the surface. This spot is sacred. It is the social hub of the morning. Women and girls from other clans are already there, filling their ollas. Their quiet conversation, a mixture of practical talk and gentle gossip, echoes in the cool morning air. This is where news is exchanged, where social bonds are reaffirmed. You wait your turn patiently. The water is cool and clear, but the flow is agonizingly slow. It can take a long time to fill your large jar, scooping the water carefully with a smaller dipper made from a gourd or a piece of a broken pot. Once your olla is full, the real ordeal begins. The journey back. The pot that was a manageable weight when empty is now a crushing, unstable burden. A full olla can weigh 40 pounds or more, the equivalent of a small child. Now you must make the same treacherous climb back up the cliff face, bearing this immense, sloshing weight. Every step is a precise calculation of balance, leverage, and sheer strength. Your leg muscles burn with a fiery intensity. Your back, already strained from a lifetime of such labor, screams in protest. Your fingers, gripping the stone holds, ache with a deep, pulsating pain. The tumplin digs relentlessly into your forehead. Sweat trickles down your temples and into your eyes, but you cannot spare a hand to wipe it away. Your focus is absolute. One misstep, one shift in the pot's weight, doesn't just mean a broken pot and a day's worth of lost water. It means a potentially fatal fall for you. You finally haul yourself over the ledge and back into the relative safety of your village's alcove. Your breath comes in ragged, desperate gasps. Your heart pounds against your ribs like a trapped bird. You have spent the first, best part of your morning's energy on this single, vital task. And this water, this one pot you have risked your life for, is not for you alone. It is for your entire family, for the whole day. It will be used for drinking, sparingly. It will be used for cooking the morning gruel. A small amount will be used for mixing clay for pottery or for making adobe mud to patch a wall. There is no water for bathing. Cleanliness is a luxury you cannot afford. You might use a damp rag to wipe the dust from your face, but the idea of a shower or bath is beyond fantasy. Water is for survival, not comfort. It is rationed with an almost religious care. Every sip is savored. No drop is ever wasted. When you pour water from the olla into a smaller drinking bowl, you do it with a slow, steady hand, terrified of spilling even a splash onto the dry earth. As the sun climbs higher, you find yourself, as you always do, watching the landscape. You are a meteorologist by necessity. You scan the horizon for the faintest smudge of a cloud. A good, soaking rain is a blessing from the spirits, a temporary reprieve from the tyranny of the water jar. A summer thunderstorm can fill the natural cisterns and depressions in the rock, giving you a few days or even weeks of much easier access to water. But the rains are fickle. They may not come for months. Drought is the silent, invisible monster that haunts every aspect of your life, the deep-seated fear that motivates the water bearers, like you, every single dawn. You have done your duty for this morning. But you know, with the absolute certainty of the rising sun, that tomorrow you will have to do it all again. With the precious water secured and stored in the cool shade of your stone room, the next ritual of the day begins, preparing the morning meal. You don't open a refrigerator filled with cartons and plastic-wrapped goods. You don't browse a pantry stocked with colorful boxes promising instant gratification. Your larder is a testament to foresight, labor, and the single crop that forms the very substance of your life. Corn. The corn you retrieve is not the sweet, soft corn on the cob you might imagine from a modern grocery store. This is flint corn, or a similar hardy variety, its kernels as hard as pebbles, their colors ranging from deep blue and red to pale yellow and white. This is a strain of maize bred over countless generations by your ancestors. Selected not for sweetness, but for its sheer ability to survive in this arid, unpredictable land. It can withstand drought and pests far better than other varieties, but its resilience comes at a price. To make it edible requires a process of intense, repetitive, and physically punishing labor. This task, more than almost any other, defines the daily existence of the women in your clan. You take a woven basket filled with these dried kernels, which have been stored in a cool, stone-lined cyst or a sealed room to protect them from the relentless hunger of rodents and insects. You then kneel on the floor before the metate. The metate is not just a tool, it is the central altar of the household's sustenance. It is a large trough-shaped slab of volcanic rock or coarse sandstone, set at a slight angle on the floor, often within its own built-in stone bin. In your hands, you hold the mano, a smaller, loaf-shaped stone that fits comfortably in your grip. For the next hour, perhaps two, your world shrinks to the space between these two stones, to the rhythm of your own body, and to the task of transforming hardness into life. The work is a rhythmic, full-body exercise. You kneel, leaning your weight forward, gripping the mano with both hands. You begin to grind. You push the mano down the sloped surface of the metate, crushing the hard, glassy kernels against the rough stone with all your strength. Then, you pull the mano back up, dragging the crushed corn with it. Push, and you hear a sharp, cracking sound as the kernels shatter. Pull, and you hear a soft, scraping hiss. Push, pull, push, pull. The sound fills the small room, a gritty, scraping cadence that is the true heartbeat of the Pueblo. It is the sound of survival, a sound that has echoed in this canyon for centuries. Your shoulders and back begin to ache with a familiar, burning pain. The repetitive motion is brutal on your joints. Your wrists, your elbows, your shoulders, your lower back, they all protest. By the time you reach middle age, you will almost certainly suffer from debilitating arthritis, a fact that archaeologists can see clearly in the skeletons of your people a millennium later. The bones of the women show the strain, lipping on the vertebrae, polished joints, signs of a life spent kneeling and grinding. Your knuckles are often raw and scraped from accidentally striking them against the sharp edges of the metate. Blisters form on your palms, break, bleed, and eventually heal into thick, protective calluses. The first grind is just the beginning. It breaks the hard kernels into coarse pieces, something akin to modern grits. But this is not fine enough for the breads and gruels that are your staples. You gather the coarse meal, move to an adjacent metate with a finer-grained surface, and begin the entire process again. And then, perhaps, you move to a third grinding station with an even smoother stone until the corn is finally transformed into a fine, pale, soft powder. Many households have a series of 3 or 4 metates set up in a row, allowing several women to work together, moving the corn down the line from coarsest to finest grind. The work is communal, accompanied by the low hum of conversation, gossip, and the singing of traditional grinding songs that match the rhythm of the work and ease the monotony. Throughout this long, arduous process, something else is being added to your food, something unavoidable and insidious: grit. Tiny, microscopic particles of sand and rock are inevitably ground from the surfaces of the mano and metate into the flour. This grit will be in everything you eat, every meal, every day of your life. It acts as a slow, relentless abrasive on your teeth. It will slowly but surely wear down the enamel, flattening the chewing surfaces, until by adulthood your teeth are worn smooth, sometimes down to the sensitive pulp. This leads to chronic, agonizing toothaches, abscesses, and infections that can easily spread to your jaw and bloodstream, becoming fatal in a world without antibiotics. The price of eating is the eventual destruction of your teeth. Finally, the flour is ready. You take a portion of it and mix it with a small amount of the precious water you carried this morning. You might add a pinch of ash from the juniper wood in your hearth. This seems strange, but your ancestors learned long ago that the ash adds calcium, and more importantly, its alkalinity helps to release the niacin trapped within the corn, making it more nutritious and warding off the terrible deficiency disease, pellagra. You heat this mixture in a round-bottomed clay pot set directly in the embers of your fire, stirring it with a wooden stick until it thickens into a thin, warm porridge. This is your breakfast. It is called atole. There is no sugar, no honey, no fruit to sweeten it. It is fundamentally bland, with a slightly gritty texture that you are so accustomed to you no longer notice it. But it is hot, and it is filling. It provides the essential carbohydrates and calories you will need for the hard day of labor ahead. You and your family gather around the hearth, perhaps sitting on low stone benches built into the wall. You dip spoons carved from gourds or pieces of a hardened, cracker-like cornbread called piki into the communal pot. The meal is eaten quickly, quietly, with a focus born of necessity. Sometimes there might be more to eat. Perhaps some beans that were put on to boil the night before, their soft texture a welcome contrast to the corn. Or a piece of squash, which was harvested in the fall and has been carefully stored in a dry, cool room. But meat is a rarity at the morning meal, a precious resource reserved for special occasions or when a hunt has been especially successful. For the most part, your diet is this unvarying trinity: corn, beans, and squash. The three sisters. When eaten together, they provide a nearly complete protein, but the diet is still monotonous and lacks certain essential vitamins and iron. You are often tired. Anemia, evident in the porous, spongy bone of your people's skeletons, is a common affliction, a quiet, invisible drain on your energy. You have eaten. You are not starving, not today, but you are not fully nourished in the way a modern body understands it. You exist in a state of constant, precarious balance, a nutritional tightrope walk. The corn you just ate was grown with last year's precious rain, harvested by the collective hands of your entire family, protected diligently through the long winter months, and ground into flour this morning by your own aching muscles. Every single calorie you consume is a direct result of immense, sustained effort. And now, with that meal inside you, providing a temporary surge of energy, it is time to go out and begin the work of ensuring there will be a meal for tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that. Your stomach is full with the warm, gritty sustenance of the morning's atoll. Now you must face the central and most daunting challenge of your existence, convincing the desert to grant you food. You are a farmer in a place that seems actively, almost maliciously, hostile to agriculture. There are no sprawling, fertile fields of deep black soil, no gentle, predictable rains that arrive just when needed. There is only the harsh, bleaching sun, the thirsty, sandy earth, and the immense accumulated knowledge of your clan, passed down through generations, on how to wrestle life from the stone. You leave the cool, relative dimness of the pueblo and step out into a world of blinding light. The sun, even in the early morning, is already gaining a fierce strength. The air is so dry it seems to pull the moisture from your skin. You join a group from your clan, men, women, and any child old enough to work and head out to your family's agricultural plots. These fields are not conveniently located next to your home. They might be situated on the canyon floor, a long walk from your cliff dwelling, or even on a mesa top several miles away, wherever a patch of usable soil and a favorable water situation exists. The walk itself is work, your yucca sandals slapping against the hot, dusty trail, the sun beating down on your head and neck. Your farm is not a single, contiguous, neat rectangle like a modern field. It is a scattered patchwork of small, irregular plots, strategically placed wherever a bit of soil has collected, and where water, the rarest of all resources, might be coaxed to linger. This is the art of dryland farming. You don't irrigate with massive canals from a mighty river. You farm with science and with faith, the science of water conservation, and the faith that the sky will not abandon you. Your most important tool is the digging stick. It is a simple, elegant piece of hardwood, perhaps juniper or oak, its end sharpened to a point and hardened in the embers of a fire. There are no plows. There are no beasts of burden to pull them. All cultivation, all planting, is done by human muscle, powered by last year's corn. You use the digging stick to break the hard, sun-baked crust of the soil. You use it to aerate the earth, and you use it to poke deep holes for planting seeds, placing them far down where a bit of residual moisture might remain. It is back-breaking, repetitive work, performed for hours while bent over under the relentless sun. Your ancestors have spent generations mastering this environment, and their genius is written on the landscape itself. You and your clan spend countless hours building and maintaining water control features. You build small stone dams, known today as check dams, across the arroyos, the dry washes that scar the land. These low walls of rock don't stop the water. When the rare but violent summer thunderstorms do come, unleashing a torrent of brown, churning water, these dams slow the flash flood. They force the water to spread out and drop its precious load of rich silt, creating small, fertile, and moist pockets of earth behind each dam. You also plant on terraces, small, step-like fields built into the hillsides with stone retaining walls. Each terrace captures rainfall, preventing it from running off and allowing it to soak deep into the soil. Every feature of the landscape is analyzed and exploited for its potential to hold water. You plant in the sandy mouths of arroyos, in the shadow of large rock faces where the sun is less intense, anywhere that gives your crops a fighting chance. You plant the three sisters corn, beans, and squash together in the same mound, a practice of symbiotic agricultural genius. This is not just a tradition. It is a sophisticated, integrated farming system. The corn, planted first, provides a sturdy, tall stalk for the bean vines to climb, lifting them off the hot ground. The beans, in turn, are legumes. Their roots host bacteria that pull nitrogen from the air and fix it in the soil, enriching it and providing essential nutrients for the other plants, especially the nitrogen-hungry corn. The squash, planted around the base of the mound, completes the trinity. Its broad, sprawling leaves and prickly vines create a living mulch, shading the ground, which keeps it cool, dramatically reduces water evaporation, and prevents the growth of competing weeds. They are a community of plants, supporting one another, thriving together in a way they never could alone, a perfect botanical reflection of your own clan-based society. But planting is only the beginning of a long, anxious battle. Now comes the waiting. The profound, soul-deep anxiety of the farmer who is utterly dependent on the sky. You watch the sky every day, your eyes scanning the horizon for the faintest hint of a gathering cloud. Your entire community's mood can shift with the weather. A week without rain, and the tender seedlings begin to look stressed. 2 weeks, and you see them start to wither, their leaves curling in on themselves. A month, and you begin to feel the cold, hard knot of fear tightening in your stomach. A prolonged drought, the kind that can last a single season, or, terrifyingly, multiple years, means widespread starvation. It is the existential threat that underpins your entire worldview and your religious ceremonies. When the rains do come, they are often not the gentle, soaking rains you pray for. They are violent, localized thunderstorms. A storm can unleash a flash flood of such power that it tears through the canyon, destroying your carefully built check dams and washing away your fields, your entire season's work, in a matter of furious minutes. Or, a hailstorm, with ice stones the size of your thumb, can descend from the sky and shred your young plants to green ribbons, leaving you with nothing. The weather is not a gentle partner. It is a volatile, unpredictable, and immensely powerful deity that must be constantly cajoled and appeased with the correct ceremonies, prayers, and offerings. Pests are another constant enemy. Jackrabbits and deer, driven by their own thirst and hunger, can devastate a field overnight. You and the children of your clan must spend countless hours guarding the fields, acting as human scarecrows, shouting, throwing stones, and setting simple but effective snares. Swarms of insects, like grasshoppers, can descend on your crops and consume them with an apocalyptic fury. And the native weeds, perfectly adapted to the harsh conditions, compete fiercely for every precious drop of water, requiring constant, back-breaking removal with your hands and your digging stick. The harvest, if it comes, is a time of communal celebration and frantic, non-stop work. Every single ear of corn, every bean pod, every mature squash is gathered, carried back to the pueblo, and then meticulously processed for storage. The corn is shucked, and the ears are laid out to dry in the hot sun on the pueblo rooftops, creating a vibrant, colorful tapestry of yellow, blue, red, and white. Once fully dried, the kernels are removed and stored in sealed pottery jars or stone-lined pits. The best, most perfect ears of corn are carefully set aside as seed for next year. This is your future. Your clan's survival through the coming winter and into the next year depends entirely on the success of this harvest and the careful preservation of these seeds. A poor harvest means a long, hungry winter of strict rationing. A failed harvest means the very real possibility of having to abandon your home, the home of your ancestors, and become a refugee in a hostile, starving land. As you stand in your sun-blasted field, your back aching, your skin caked with dust and sweat, your hands raw and blistered from the digging stick, you are not just a farmer. You are a gambler, a scientist, an engineer, and a priest, all rolled into one. You are locked in an ancient, intimate, and often desperate struggle with the land. And every single ear of corn you produce is a hard-won, precious victory against a desert that would just as soon see you fail. Life in your world is not segmented into neat compartments of work and leisure. Life is, in its entirety, a form of labor. From the moment you rise from your yucca mat until you collapse back onto it at night, your body is a tool, constantly employed in the great and varied project of survival. The rhythms of farming are seasonal but all-consuming. The other tasks are year-round, a relentless, cyclical cadence of making, mending, building, and maintaining. There is no weekend, no holiday in the modern sense. There are only ceremonial days, which are themselves a form of intense spiritual work. If you are a man, your physical energy is largely devoted to the monumental tasks of construction, maintenance, and providing resources from beyond the immediate farming plots. The great pueblos and cliff dwellings you inhabit are architectural marvels, triumphs of human engineering and cooperation, but they are not static monuments. They are living, breathing entities in a constant state of flux. New rooms are always being added to accommodate growing families, as daughters marry and have children of their own. Old walls, battered by the elements, need constant repair after a winter's cycle of freezing and thawing or a summer's torrential storm. This means the endless task of quarrying stone. You walk for miles, sometimes to the other side of the canyon, to a place where the sandstone lies in manageable, stratified layers. You have no metal tools, no dynamite. Your quarrying toolkit consists of harder stones, like river cobbles, which you use to painstakingly peck and grind at the rock, slowly creating a groove, isolating a block from the cliff face. You use heavy stone mauls to strike the rock, and wooden wedges that you drive into natural cracks. You pour precious water onto the wedges, and as the wood swells over hours or days, it exerts an immense, silent pressure, splitting the stone with a loud crack. It is a slow, patient, powerful process that combines brute force with an intimate knowledge of the stone's character. Then, the block, weighing hundreds, sometimes thousands, of pounds, must be shaped and transported back to the village. It might be carried on a wooden litter by a team of several men, their muscles straining, their chants keeping them in rhythm. Or it might be rolled on logs, a precious resource in this largely treeless landscape. The work is grueling, dangerous, and demands a high level of social coordination. A slipped stone can crush a limb, cripple a man for life, or end it in an instant. Once at the village, the stones are shaped further, their faces dressed to fit snugly together. They are laid in courses with a mortar of thick mud and small stone chinking. You are a master mason. You mix the adobe mud, a simple but effective mixture of local clay, water, and a temper-like straw or crushed rock to prevent cracking, and carry it up rickety wooden ladders to the upper stories. You plaster the mixture into the walls, sealing them against the wind and rain. The roofs of your rooms are constructed from massive wooden beams, called vigas. These beams, often entire tree trunks of ponderosa, pine, or fir, have to be harvested from forests located in the high mountains, sometimes 50 or 60 miles away. The monumental question of how your ancestors transported these enormous logs, weighing up to 600 pounds each, across such vast, rugged distances without the aid of wheels or draft animals is one that still leaves modern engineers in awe. It speaks to an incredible level of social organization, communal effort, and sheer human will. If you are a woman, your labor is centered in and around the home, a sphere of production that is no less physically demanding or essential. After the hours spent grinding corn, your hands, still aching, turn to the art of pottery. You do not have a potter's wheel. You are a master of the coil and scrape method. You walk to a special place where the best clay is found, digging it from the earth and carrying it back to the pueblo. You prepare the clay by kneading it with water and a temper sand or crushed sherds of old pottery to give it strength and prevent it from cracking during firing. You roll the prepared clay into long snake-like coils, and then you begin to build. You lay the coils one on top of another, pinching and smoothing them together, gradually building the walls of the vessel. Then, using a piece of gourd or a smooth, curved stone, you scrape the inside and outside surfaces, thinning the walls, creating a seamless, strong, and often breathtakingly elegant shape. It is a process that is both physically demanding and requires immense artistic skill. The intricate black-on-white geometric patterns that adorn your pottery are not just for beauty. They are a language of symbols representing clouds, rain, lightning, mountains, and the spiritual forces that govern your world. They are expressions of your clan's identity, a visual prayer. You paint them with a brush made from the fibers of a yucca leaf, chewing one end to create fine bristles. Your pigments are made from ground minerals and plants, iron for red, carbon for black mixed with a binder. Finally, the pot must be fired. You don't have a kiln that can reach controlled high temperatures. You fire your pottery in an open pit. You carefully stack the fragile, unfired vessels, covering them with fuel like dried animal dung or wood, and you tend the fire for hours, using your knowledge and intuition to manage the temperature, praying that the pots don't crack from the thermal shock. Weaving is another endless, essential task. You gather the tough, spiky leaves of the yucca plant, which you then soak, pound, and scrape to release the strong, pliable fibers within. You spin these fibers into cordage of varying thicknesses. This cordage is the string that ties your world together. You use it to make durable sandals that protect your feet from the hot, rocky ground, to weave sturdy baskets for carrying and storage, to create strong nets for hunting rabbits, and to make the mats you sleep on. If your clan has access to cotton, which is grown in the warmer, lower elevations and is a valuable trade good, you must first process it. You remove the seeds by hand, then card the fluffy bolls and spin it into thread on a simple, hand-turned spindle. This is a process that takes countless hours to produce enough thread for a single garment. You then weave this thread into cloth on a large vertical loom, a frame propped against a wall of your home. The blankets, the belts, the leggings, the ceremonial sashes you create are not just functional. They are complex works of art, imbued with meaning, status, and the accumulated skill of generations. And then, there are the everyday tools. Every tool you use, from the knife that skins a rabbit to the needle that sews a piece of leather, must be made by hand. Arrowheads and spear points are knapped from chert, flint, or obsidian, a process requiring immense skill and precision to strike the stone with an antler billet at just the right angle, flaking off pieces to create a sharp, deadly edge. Stone axes are made by laboriously grinding a hard stone like basalt into a blade shape and then hafting it to a wooden handle with rawhide sinew. Needles and awls for piercing leather are carved and sharpened from the bones of animals. Every single object in your world is the result of direct, intimate, and often exhausting human labor. There are no days off. The work is a continuous flow, dictated by the seasons, the weather, and the immediate needs of your family and clan. A wall collapses. It must be rebuilt. A water jar breaks. A new one must be made. A winter blanket wears out. A new one must be woven. Your body is the engine of your civilization, and it bears the cost of this relentless effort. The skeletal remains of your people show these costs clearly. Severe arthritis in nearly every adult, compression fractures in the spine from carrying heavy loads, muscles, attachments thickened and roughened from a lifetime of hard use. Life is a constant, demanding, physical dialogue with a challenging world, and your body is the language you use to answer. The corn, beans, and squash that fill your storage rooms are the bedrock of your survival, the reliable foundation of your diet. But your body craves, and indeed needs, the dense energy and vital nutrients found in meat. Protein and fat are essential for building strong bodies, for surviving the cold winters, and for providing the sustained energy required for your life of endless labor. But in this arid, spare landscape, hunting is not a simple matter of walking into the wilderness and returning with a bounty. It is a dangerous, uncertain, and often unrewarding endeavor, steeped in ritual and demanding immense skill. You do not live in a land teeming with the vast, slow-moving herds of bison found on the Great Plains. The primary large game animals here are the mule deer and the desert bighorn sheep. These are not creatures that are easily taken. They are wary, intelligent, and perfectly adapted to this rugged, broken terrain. They possess an uncanny ability to disappear into the canyons and mesas in the blink of an eye. Their senses are sharp, and their agility on the steep, rocky slopes is breathtaking. To hunt them successfully requires more than just a good weapon. It requires immense patience, a hunter's intuition, and a deep intuitive understanding of the landscape and the animal's behavior. As a hunter, a role typically taken by the men of your clan, you do not simply wander out with a weapon and hope for the best. The hunt is a spiritual and communal affair, not an act of individual bravado. It begins long before you leave the pueblo, with rituals, prayers, and offerings. You must prepare yourself spiritually to take a life. You might fast for a day, or perform purification rites in the kiva to cleanse yourself of any human scent or spiritual impurity that might offend the animal spirit. You are not asserting dominance over nature. You are entering into a sacred contract. You are asking the animal to give its life to you and your people, and this request must be made with the utmost respect and humility. The spirits of the animals must be honored, and the guardians of the hunt must be appeased. Your primary weapon for taking large game might still be the atlatl, or spear thrower. This is an ancient and remarkably powerful tool, a length of wood with a handle at one end, and a hook or spur at the other, that engages the end of a light spear or dart. The atlatl acts as a lever, effectively extending the length of your arm and allowing you to hurl the dart with incredible force and velocity, far greater than you could achieve by hand alone. In skilled hands, it is a deadly weapon, but it is not a long-range one. It requires you to get relatively close to your prey, within 30 or 40 yards, a feat that demands exceptional stalking skills. Increasingly, the bow and arrow is becoming the weapon of choice. It is a more complex tool to make, requiring a carefully shaped wooden bow, a string of twisted sinew, and meticulously fletched arrows. It offers greater range and accuracy than the atlatl, but it is still a weapon that demands immense skill, constant practice, and a calm heart at the moment of truth. The hunt for large game is almost always a group effort. A team of hunters will work together, their movements coordinated, their communication often silent and instinctual. They might track an animal for days, reading the subtle signs in the dust and rock a scuffed stone, a broken twig, the age and direction of the track. The pursuit is exhausting, taking you for miles across treacherous, waterless terrain. You must carry your own water in a small gourd and a pouch of dried cornmeal for sustenance. The hunters might try to execute a carefully planned drive, with some members of the party creating a disturbance to push the animal towards other hunters hidden in ambush. They might attempt to maneuver the animal into a dead-end canyon, or, in a desperate and dangerous strategy, try to drive it over a cliff. But more often than not, the prey eludes you. The wind shifts, a stone clatters, and the animal vanishes. You return to the pueblo empty-handed, your body aching, your spirit weary. Failure is the default state of the hunt. That is why a successful kill is such a momentous occasion, a cause for celebration throughout the entire community. The animal is brought back to the pueblo with reverence and ceremony. The hunters who made the kill are honored, but the spirit of the slain animal is honored even more. Then begins the communal process of ensuring that nothing, absolutely nothing, is wasted. The meat is the most obvious prize. It is quickly cut into thin strips and laid out on wooden racks to dry in the hot, arid sun, creating a form of jerky that will be a vital source of protein during the lean months of winter. The hide is meticulously scraped clean of all flesh and fat, then tanned. Tanning is a laborious process, often involving the animal's own brains, which contain natural emulsifiers that soften the hide. The hide is then stretched, worked, and often smoked over a fire, transforming it into supple, durable leather for clothing, moccasins, sandals, and pouches. The bones are a precious resource. Large bones are cracked open to get at the nutritious marrow inside. Other bones are carefully shaped into essential tools: sharp awls for punching holes in leather, needles for sewing, scrapers for working hides, and flutes for ceremony and entertainment. The sinew, the strong tendons from the back and legs, is carefully removed, dried, and then separated into strong, thin threads. This sinew is the best cordage available, used for hafting stone points to arrow shafts, for making bowstrings, and for any task requiring immense strength. Even the antlers of a deer and the horns of a sheep are carved into tools, like flint-knapping billets or digging stick handles. The hooves can be boiled down to make glue. The animal gives its entire being to the people, and the people, in turn, honor that sacred gift by using every last part of it. But you know that you cannot rely on the rare prize of large game. Most of the meat in your diet comes from smaller, more reliable sources. You are an expert trapper. You spend a great deal of time setting snares and deadfall traps along the almost invisible game trails used by desert cottontails and jackrabbit. A series of well-placed snares can provide a steady, if modest, supply of meat for your family. The children of the pueblo are also contributors. They might be tasked with hunting pack rats from their large, messy nests of sticks and cactus, or using small, blunt arrows to hunt birds. Lizards are a valuable source of protein and are caught with quick hands or small traps. Even insects, like locusts or caterpillars, might be gathered in season, roasted over the fire, and ground into a protein-rich meal. Every hunt, whether for a bighorn sheep or a rabbit, is a gamble. You risk injury from a fall in the rugged terrain, from a cornered animal, or simply from exposure to the brutal elements. You expend precious calories and time that could be spent farming, building, or making pottery. A successful hunt can mean the difference between a hungry winter and a secure one, a celebration and a boost in morale for the entire community. But failure is the more common and expected outcome. The romantic image of the mighty hunter returning with a stag slung heroically over his shoulders is mostly a fantasy. The reality of your life is the quiet, patient, and often frustrating work of setting a rabbit snare, and the hopeful, whispered prayer that tomorrow there will be something in it. In your world, there is no germ theory, no understanding of bacteria or viruses, no antibiotics, no sterile operating rooms. Your understanding of health and illness is a complex and deeply ingrained tapestry woven from three distinct threads: practical, multi-generational herbal knowledge, a profound spiritual belief system that connects all illness to a state of disharmony, and the hard-won, often tragic, experience of what works and what does not. Despite this wealth of cultural knowledge, life is fragile, and the line between health and sickness, between life and death, is perilously thin and easily crossed. Your diet, the very foundation of your physical existence, is a major source of long-term health problems. The heavy, near-total reliance on corn, while providing necessary calories, takes a severe toll on your body. The first and most immediate issue is the relentless grit from the stone mano and matate that is ground into every meal. From childhood, this abrasive material begins to wear down the enamel on your teeth. By the time you reach adulthood, the chewing surfaces of your molars are often worn completely flat, exposing the sensitive dentin and eventually the nerve-filled pulp. This leads to chronic, agonizing toothaches that can make eating, sleeping, or even thinking impossible. It also provides an open gateway for bacteria. A dental abscess, a painful but treatable inconvenience in the modern world, is a life-threatening crisis for you. The infection can spread from the tooth root into your jawbone, causing it to decay or enter your bloodstream, leading to systemic infection, sepsis, and a slow, feverish, painful death. Second, a diet so dominated by corn, even when supplemented with beans and squash, can lead to serious nutritional deficiencies. Corn lacks certain essential amino acids that the body needs to thrive. More critically, it is deficient in niacin, vitamin B3, unless it is processed with an alkali, like ash or lime, a technique known as nixtamalization. While your people use ash in your cooking, it may not be enough to fully prevent the effects of this deficiency. Chronic, low-level niacin deficiency can lead to weakness, digestive problems, and skin lesions. Iron deficiency anemia is also rampant, a result of the limited iron available in your diet and the burden of chronic infections and parasites. The evidence is written in the bones of your ancestors, which archaeologists study with care. They find skulls with porous, spongy-looking bone in the eye sockets, a condition called cribra orbitalia, a telltale sign of severe childhood anemia. This condition would have left you feeling perpetually tired, breathless, and weak, a constant, invisible drain on your energy in a life that demanded nothing but strength. Injury is an ever-present daily threat. A fall while navigating the treacherous hand-and-toe trails down a cliff face for water, a slip of a heavy stone axe while felling a tree for a viga, a deep gash from a razor-sharp flint knife While butchering an animal, any of these common events can be life-threatening. You have no effective way to sterilize a deep wound. Your knowledge of herbal medicine is extensive. You might pack the wound with the chewed leaves of a plant known to have antiseptic properties, or smear it with pine pitch, which can act as a protective barrier. But these remedies are often not enough to stop a serious infection. You watch anxiously as the skin around the wound reddens, swells, and grows hot. A fever sets in. In a world without antibiotics, a simple infected cut can easily lead to gangrene, a systemic infection, and death. A broken bone is a catastrophe. There are no X-rays to see the nature of the break, no plaster cast to immobilize the limb perfectly. A healer from your clan, someone with great practical experience, will do their best. They will try to set the bone by pulling and manipulating the limb, a process of excruciating pain for you. Then they will bind it tightly with wooden splints and rawhide strips. But it often heals improperly, at an angle, leaving you with a permanent, debilitating limp, a weakened arm, or chronic grinding pain. This disability can severely impact your ability to perform your essential daily tasks, making you a greater burden on your kin. Sanitation, as a concept, does not exist. Your pueblo is a densely packed community, with hundreds of people living in close quarters. Human and animal waste, along with food scraps and other refuse, is often disposed of in middens or trash heaps. These middens are sometimes located perilously close to your living quarters, or, even worse, upstream from your water source. They are breeding grounds for flies and other pests that carry disease. Contaminated water and food lead to frequent and often deadly outbreaks of dysentery and other severe gastrointestinal illnesses. These diseases sweep through the community with terrifying speed, particularly affecting the very young and the elderly, whose immune systems are most vulnerable. For a woman, childbirth is one of the most dangerous times in her life. You give birth in the familiar, smoky dimness of your family's room, attended by your mother, your sisters, and perhaps a midwife, an older woman with specialized ceremonial and practical knowledge. They rely on herbal remedies to ease the pain and ritual practices to ensure a safe delivery. But if serious complications arise a baby in a breech position, a postpartum hemorrhage, there is very little they can do beyond offering prayers and comfort. The ability to perform a cesarean section is an impossible dream. Infant and child mortality rates are devastatingly high. It is a sad, terrible, and accepted fact of life that many, perhaps even half, of the children born into your clan will not survive to see their 5th birthday. Every family knows the deep, quiet, recurring grief of losing a child. The small graves are a constant, heartbreaking feature of your community's story. When sickness strikes, you turn to the community's healers or medicine people. Their medicine is holistic and powerful. They do not separate the body from the spirit. They believe that illness can be caused by physical factors, like an injury, but that it is always intertwined with a spiritual cause, a state of disharmony with the natural world, the displeasure of the spirits, or the malevolent actions of a witch. A healing ceremony is a complex, multi-day ritual. It involves intricate sand paintings on the floor of the kiva, long, hypnotic chants and prayers, offerings of cornmeal and tobacco, and the use of sacred objects like crystals and eagle feathers. The healer also possesses a vast pharmacopoeia of local plants. They know which roots to chew for a stomachache, which leaves to make into a poultice for a skin rash, which bark to boil into a tea for a fever. Willow bark, containing a substance similar to aspirin, is used for pain relief. Juniper has known antiseptic qualities. Many of these remedies are genuinely effective. Others work primarily through the placebo effect, their power amplified by the profound faith of the patient and the powerful psychological impact of the ceremony itself. The focused, compassionate attention of the healer and the entire community provides a powerful boost that can tip the balance towards recovery. But against the great, invisible killers, the rampant staph and strep infections, epidemic diseases like influenza or measles that might sweep in through distant trade networks, the slow, grinding wear of chronic malnutrition, their medicine is often powerless. You live with a constant, intimate awareness of your own fragility. Death is not a distant, sanitized event that happens in a hospital. It is a frequent and visible visitor to your community. You see it, you touch it, you help prepare the bodies of your loved ones for burial. You mourn. And then, because you must, you continue the relentless work of living. You are never truly alone. From the moment you are born into the smoky dimness of your mother's home until the moment your spirit leaves your body, your existence is defined by your relationship to the group. The concept of the rugged individual, the solitary hero who forges their own destiny, so central to the mythology of the modern Western world, would be utterly alien and deeply frightening to you. In your world, individuality is a vulnerability, not a strength. Your survival, your identity, and your sense of self are all inextricably linked to your clan. To be without your kin is to be less than human. It is to be a ghost, unanchored and adrift in a dangerous world. Your society is organized around the bedrock of kinship. You belong to your mother's clan. This is your primary and most fundamental identity, more important than your personal name. Your clan is a vast, extended family. A network of households, all tracing their lineage back through the female line to a common, sometimes mythical, ancestor. This matrilineal system is not just a quaint tradition, it is a powerful social and economic structure that provides a profound sense of security. The home you live in belongs to your mother's lineage. The fields you farm are cared for collectively by your maternal kin. If your husband dies, or if your marriage proves incompatible and you separate, you and your children remain secure. You do not leave, he does. You stay within your mother's household, supported by the web of your sisters, aunts, and maternal uncles. This system provides a stability for women and children that is absolute. Privacy, however, is a concept that is entirely non-existent. Your life is an open book, read daily by everyone in your family and, by extension, the entire pueblo. Your work, your relationships, your contributions, your shortcomings, your arguments, and your reconciliations are all matters of public knowledge and, often, public commentary. There are no locked doors, no private spaces to retreat to. This lack of privacy creates an immense and constant social pressure. You are expected to contribute to the household every day. You are expected to work hard without complaint. You are expected to share food and resources freely with your kin. You are expected to uphold the traditions of your people. And you are expected, above all, to not cause conflict and to maintain social harmony. Laziness, selfishness, or consistently disruptive behavior are not just seen as personal failings. They are grave threats to the survival and well-being of the group. In a world where every calorie is hard-won and every task is essential, one person's failure to contribute can have ripple effects throughout the entire community. There are no formal laws or police to enforce good behavior. Instead, your society relies on a suite of powerful, informal mechanisms. Gossip is one of the most effective tools for social control. The fear of being talked about, of being shamed by your relatives and neighbors, is a potent motivator to conform to expectations. Teasing and gentle ridicule are also used to correct minor infractions. For more serious issues, the elders of your clan will intervene, offering guidance and stern warnings. The goal is always to restore harmony, to bring the errant individual back into the fold. At the very center of your community's ceremonial and social life is the kiva. A kiva is a circular subterranean chamber, entered, like your home, from the roof by a ladder. Its form is a powerful physical symbol of your cosmology. It represents the underworld from which your people believe they emerged at the beginning of time. Descending the ladder into the kiva is like returning to the womb of the earth. The kiva is primarily the domain of the men of your clan. It is here that they gather to perform the sacred rituals that keep the universe in balance. It is here they discuss community matters, from planning a hunt to mediating a dispute. It is here that they teach the young boys the ancient traditions, the songs, the stories, and the responsibilities of manhood. And it is here that they simply sit together in the cool darkness, working on their crafts, knapping flint, preparing prayer sticks, weaving ceremonial textiles. The air inside is thick with the smell of tobacco smoke and the low, constant murmur of quiet conversation. It is the political, spiritual, and social heart of your clan. While men hold the power of formal ceremony within the kiva, you and the other women hold a different, but equally important power within the household. The home is your domain. You are the stewards of the family's resources. You control the food stores, deciding how much corn will be ground each day, how much will be saved. You control the distribution of meals. You are primarily responsible for the raising and education of the young children. And, most critically, you control the ownership of the property itself. The home and the fields are passed down through your line. This creates a powerful and fascinating balance of gender roles. Power is not concentrated in one gender, but is distributed and complementary. The well-being of the community depends on both the men's ceremonial duties and the women's domestic and economic stability. But what happens when someone's behavior is so egregious that it cannot be corrected through shame or mediation? What about the individual who consistently violates the most sacred social norms or, even worse, is suspected of practicing witchcraft? In such a case, the community can resort to the ultimate punishment: ostracism. To be formally cast out from your clan and from the pueblo is a sentence that is tantamount to death. To be alone in this vast, unforgiving landscape, stripped of your identity, your kin, and your access to food and water, is a fate so terrible it is almost unimaginable. This tight-knit, all-encompassing social fabric is your greatest strength and, in some ways, your heaviest and most suffocating burden. It provides you with an unwavering network of support in times of crisis. You will never starve alone if there is food left in the pueblo. You will be cared for when you are sick. Your children will always have a home. But it also demands your nearly absolute conformity. There is very little room for personal ambition if it conflicts with the needs of the group. Your life's path is largely determined for you by tradition and your prescribed role within the clan. You find your meaning, your purpose, and your safety not in being a unique and different individual, but in belonging completely and harmoniously to the whole. You are a single, vital thread in a vast, intricate weaving. The overall pattern is beautiful and strong, but you have very little say in its final design. Your world is not a collection of inanimate objects and brute, unthinking natural forces. It is intensely, vibrantly, and sometimes terrifyingly alive. Every rock, every plant, every animal, the sun, the moon, the rain clouds, the wind, they all possess a spirit, a consciousness, an agency. The physical world that you can see and touch, and the vast, invisible spiritual world are not separate domains. They are two sides of the same reality, constantly and intimately interacting, influencing one another in a delicate cosmic dance. Your cosmology, the story of how the world came to be, is complex and profound. You believe that your ancestors did not originate in this world, but in a series of worlds deep within the earth. They emerged from the darkness of the underworld, climbing up through successive levels until they finally reached this, the fourth world, the world of light and sun. This origin story is the most sacred truth of your existence, and it is physically embodied in the architecture of your life. The kiva, the subterranean ceremonial chamber, with its ladder entrance reaching up to the sky, is a constant physical reminder of this journey of emergence. To descend into the kiva is to return to the womb of the earth, to the source of all life and spiritual power. Your religious life is not confined to a single day of the week or a specific building designated for worship. It is a continuous, year-round cycle of ceremonies, rituals, personal prayers, and sacred obligations designed to maintain balance and harmony, a state you might call hazo, between your people and the powerful, unpredictable spirit world. This is not an abstract philosophical goal. It is an absolute practical necessity for survival. You believe with every fiber of your being that if you and your clan perform the correct ceremonies at the correct times, the spirits will be pleased and will reciprocate by providing what you need to live: rain for the thirsty crops, fertility for the women, health for the children, and success for the hunters. If you fail in your ceremonial duties, if you show disrespect, or if there is disharmony within your community, the spirits will be displeased, and they will withhold their gifts, resulting in drought, famine, disease, and death. The kachinas, or similar spirit beings, are at the very heart of your ceremonial life. They are not gods in the sense of all-powerful, distant deities. They are the spirits of your direct ancestors. They are the living spirits of the clouds, the rain, the mountains, the animals, and all the forces of nature that govern your world. They are the powerful and generally benevolent intermediaries between the human world and the greater world of the spirits. During specific prescribed times of the year, members of your community, always men who have been initiated into the religious societies, will don elaborate, breathtaking masks and costumes. These are not mere disguises. The man wearing the mask becomes the spirit he is portraying. He channels its power and its presence. These living embodiments of the Kachina spirits will dance in the central plaza of your pueblo for hours, sometimes for days on end. Their movements are a form of prayer, their rhythmic steps shaking the earth, their chanted songs calling to the clouds. Watching them, you are not seeing your uncle or your neighbor in a mask. You are seeing the cloud spirit, the corn maiden, or the powerful mountain lion made manifest in your village. Their presence is a powerful, tangible blessing for the entire community. Your calendar is a ceremonial one, dictated not by written pages, but by the movements of the sun, the moon, and the stars. Your ancestors were brilliant practical astronomers, and they built their great houses and kivas with a sophisticated, functional understanding of the cosmos. Certain windows and portals are designed to align perfectly with the rising or setting sun on the solstices and the equinoxes. These celestial events are not just astronomical curiosities. They mark the critical turning points of the year and signal the precise time for crucial ceremonies and agricultural activities, such as when to begin planting and when to begin the harvest. A religious elder in your community, the Sun Watcher, has the vital and sacred responsibility of observing the sun's daily journey across the horizon, using specific landmarks to determine the exact timing for these essential events. The well-being and survival of the entire community rests on his accuracy and wisdom. Personal spirituality is also a constant, vital part of your life. You do not just rely on the great communal ceremonies. You might have a personal fetish, a small stone, a crystal, or a carved object that you believe holds a measure of spiritual power and offers you personal protection. You carry it with you in a small pouch. You make small daily offerings of cornmeal or sacred pollen, sprinkling a pinch with a silent or whispered prayer as you pass a trail shrine, as you begin a journey, or as you plant a seed. You are taught from childhood to move through the world with respect, to take only what you need, to leave a place as you found it, and to always give thanks for what you receive, whether it is a drink of water from a spring or the life of a rabbit caught in your snare. But the spirit world also has a darker, more terrifying side. There is a deep and abiding fear of witchcraft. A witch, in your worldview, is a human being who has perverted their spiritual power. They have turned away from the path of harmony and balance and have chosen to use their knowledge for selfish, evil purposes. A witch works in secret, often at night, to create disharmony, to cause sickness, to steal the life force of others, or to magically prevent the rain from falling. Accusations of witchcraft are the most serious and terrifying crime imaginable. They can tear a community apart, seeding it with paranoia, suspicion, and fear. A sudden, unexplained illness, a series of failed crops, a string of terrible misfortunes all can be blamed on the malevolent, invisible actions of a witch hiding within the community. The search for the culprit can be a terrifying and destructive process, often targeting those who are already on the social margins, the eccentric, the antisocial, or those who have accumulated unusual wealth or power. Your life is therefore lived on two planes simultaneously, and they are inseparable. You are constantly working to survive in the demanding physical world, while also meticulously navigating the complex, powerful, and demanding landscape of the spiritual world. The health of your corn depends on the rain, and the rain depends on the proper and heartfelt performance of your sacred ceremonies. Your entire existence is a delicate, intricate, an unending dance aimed at maintaining balance in a universe that is sacred, powerful, and profoundly, intensely alive. For generations, your people have perfected the intricate and delicate dance of survival in this arid, sun-drenched land. You have built magnificent cities of stone that seem to grow from the cliffs themselves. You have coaxed life-giving corn from the dry, sandy earth. You have maintained the delicate, necessary balance with the spirit world through ceremony and prayer. Your civilization is at its peak. But now, something is changing. The rhythm of the world is faltering. The sky, your most important and revered partner, has grown distant, silent, and unforgiving. It begins subtly, so subtly that at first, you dismiss it as a normal variation in the weather. The summer thunderstorms, the ones that once rolled in reliably every afternoon in the late summer, building from small white puffs into towering dark-bellied giants, become less frequent. The rains that do come are brief, tantalizing sprinkles that barely wet the surface of the ground, evaporating almost as soon as they touch the hot, cracked earth. The river that flows through the canyon, which once ran strong enough to require careful fording, shrinks from a steady stream to a series of disconnected, stagnant, green-scummed pools. The seeps and springs that your clan depends on for precious drinking water slow to a muddy, unreliable trickle. The first year of the drought, your clan is worried, but not panicked. You are a people accustomed to hardship, and you have been through dry years before. Your culture is built on foresight. You rely on the surplus corn stored in sealed granaries from previous better harvests. The elders offer reassurances, telling stories of past droughts that were endured and overcome. You and your community perform the ancient rain-making ceremonies with an extra fervor. A new layer of desperate urgency in your songs and dances. You watch the sky constantly, your hope rising and falling with each passing cloud, only to see it drift by without offering up its life-giving moisture. The second year, the communal worry hardens into a cold, gnawing, ever-present fear. The stored corn from previous harvests is now nearly gone. The harvest of the current year is catastrophic. In the fields, the corn stalks are stunted and yellow, their leaves brittle and dry. The ears of corn that form are small and malformed, their kernels shrunken and few, if they form at all. The squash blossoms, once so vibrant and yellow, wither on the vine before they can be pollinated. The bean plants fail to sprout, or they emerge from the ground only to be scorched to death by the relentless sun. The wild plants you rely on to supplement your diet, the pinyon nuts, the prickly pear fruit, the wild greens are also scarce. The animals you hunt, the deer and the rabbits, have either perished or have migrated to other areas where there might still be water, leaving your hunters to return day after day, empty-handed and exhausted. Now, hunger is no longer a distant, seasonal threat. It is a constant, physical presence in your life. Your daily meal of atole, once thick and sustaining, becomes thinner, more watery, stretched with whatever edible roots or grasses can be found. You feel the weakness in your limbs, the persistent, dull ache of emptiness in your belly. You see the effects of starvation in the faces of everyone around you. The children, who should be full of energy, running and playing in the plaza, are listless, quiet, their eyes large and haunted in their thin faces. Their bellies are swollen, a classic and cruel sign of severe protein malnutrition. The elders, the cherished repositories of your clan's wisdom and history, their bodies already frail, begin to slip away, one by one. The death chants become a more frequent sound in the pueblo. The social fabric of your community, once so strong and resilient, begins to fray under the immense, unrelenting strain. Tensions that were once easily resolved now fester. Sharing becomes harder when there is almost nothing left to share. Families begin to guard their meager food stores with a new and ugly suspicion. Disputes over the last drops of water at the drying spring, once settled with quiet discussion, now become more frequent and more heated. The communal harmony, the core value of your society, is cracking under the unbearable pressure of starvation. The fear of witchcraft, always lurking beneath the surface, now rises to a terrifying intensity. When the most sacred and powerful ceremonies fail to bring rain year after year, people look for a human cause. for someone to blame? Who is working against the community? Who is using their spiritual power for evil to hoard the rain for themselves? Accusations, born of fear and desperation, begin to fly. Old grudges, long dormant jealousies, and social rivalries resurface, now cloaked in the righteous and deadly language of rooting out evil. The remains of your descendants, studied by archaeologists centuries from now, will show the brutal, physical evidence of this period of social collapse. They will find skeletons with unhealed head wounds, bodies thrown unceremoniously into abandoned rooms without the proper burial rites, clear and chilling signs of violence, factionalism, and social disintegration. The bones of your people also tell a silent, heartbreaking story of profound physical suffering. The evidence of severe anemia, visible in the porous texture of the bone, becomes almost universal. The bones of children show lines of arrested growth, clear markers of periods of severe starvation from which they never fully recovered. You are not just hungry. Your body is breaking down, consuming itself to stay alive. You stand on the edge of your rooftop and look around at the magnificent stone city your ancestors built, a monument to their ingenuity, their faith, and their ability to thrive in this land. It now feels less like a fortress and more like a trap. The thick stone walls that once offered security and shelter now enclose a community that is slowly, inexorably starving to death. The great kivas, once centers of vibrant spiritual power, fall silent. The ceremonies continue, but the songs sound hollow. The dances feel mechanical and desperate. The spirits, it seems, have turned their faces away from you. Or perhaps the world has simply changed in a way that your traditions can no longer address. A profound crisis of faith, the deepest crisis imaginable, settles over your people. You have done everything right. You have followed all the traditions. And yet the world is failing you. The question, unspoken but hanging in the smoky air of every kiva and every home, is a terrifying one. Can we no longer live here? Is this the end of our world? The decision is not made in a single climactic moment. There is no grand council meeting of elders, no formal declaration shouted from the rooftop. It is a slow, agonizing, unspoken consensus that grows out of the soil of shared despair. It is the quiet, desperate conversation between two sisters as they grind the very last of the stored corn, their manos scraping against the metate with a hollow, final sound. It is the grim, defeated look exchanged between a team of hunters as they return from the empty, silent wilderness with nothing. It is the silent acknowledgement in a mother's eyes as she looks at her listless, hungry child. You must leave. You must go. To leave this place is not like moving to a new apartment or a different town. It is an act of profound and wrenching trauma, a tearing away of the very roots of your being. You are leaving the home your ancestors built with their own hands, stone by heavy stone. You are leaving the kivas where you and your kin have communed with the spirits for countless generations. You are leaving the graves of your family, the physical, sacred anchors of your lineage that are buried beneath the floors of your homes or in the nearby middens. You are walking away from the sipapu, the symbolic center of the universe. To leave is to unmake your world. The preparations are somber, quiet, and brutally practical. You cannot take everything. Most of what you own, the material culture of your entire life, must be left behind. You must choose only what is absolutely essential for survival on the long, uncertain journey ahead. You pack what little dried food you have, left a small pouch of precious cornmeal, a handful of dried beans, perhaps a few strips of leathery jerky if you are lucky. You and the other women fill your water alas one last time at the failing spring, knowing that the water you carry on your backs is all you will have for days, or even weeks. You choose your most important and portable tools. A stone axe for cutting firewood, a sharp flint knife for 100 different tasks, a fire-hardened digging stick to search for edible roots along the way. You take the mano that fits so perfectly in your hands, the stone that has fed your family for generations, but the heavy, immovable metate must be abandoned. You pack the seeds from the last failed harvest, a small, precious bundle of potential, a desperate gamble that you will find a new place with enough water to make them grow. You select a few precious personal items, a turquoise pendant that was your mother's, a beautifully made basket, a sacred ceremonial object that has been passed down through your clan. But the rest, the larger storage pots, the heavy weaving looms, the grinding bins, the turkey feather blankets, must all be left behind. As you prepare to leave your home, your room, for the final time, you perform a final, poignant, and deeply meaningful ritual. You leave a pot on the cold hearth, or you lean a mano against the metate, or you place a basket in the corner, as if you are just stepping out for a moment and will soon return. It is a sign of respect to the spirit of the home, a prayer that it will not feel abandoned and lonely. It is a way of softening the brutal, unthinkable finality of your departure. You do not smash the pots or burn the home that sheltered you. You leave it with reverence. A sleeping city waiting for a return that you know, deep in your heart, will never come. Then the journey begins. Your clan, or what is left of it, moves out together. A straggling, silent line of families walking away from the only world you have ever known. You climb down from the cliff dwelling for the last time, not looking back. The children are quiet, their eyes wide with a confusion and fear they cannot articulate. The elders, those who are strong enough to travel, walk slowly, their faces a mask of grief for a world that is now lost to them forever. The landscape you travel through is not empty. It is filled with other desperate people, other clans, other entire communities on the move. The world is in a state of upheaval. Entire populations are migrating, all searching for the same thing, a new home with reliable water. This makes the journey incredibly dangerous. The old networks of peaceful trade and cooperation have broken down. Resources are scarce, and the competition for what little water and food remains is fierce. The era of peace has given way to a time of conflict, suspicion, and violence. A chance encounter with another group on the trail could mean a peaceful sharing of information, or it could mean a violent, desperate raid for the water in your pots and the food in your pouches. You travel for weeks, which turn into months. You follow rumors, passed from one group of refugees to another, of a great river to the south that never runs dry, or of fertile valleys to the east where the rains still fall. You eat what you can find along the way, the tough roots of wild plants, insects, the occasional small animal you manage to catch in a snare. People grow weaker. Some, especially the very young and the very old, do not survive the journey. They are buried in shallow graves along the trail, their passing marked with a simple, anonymous pile of stones, their spirits left to wander in a strange land, far from their ancestral home. Finally, after a journey of unimaginable hardship, your clan finds a place where it seems possible to start again. Perhaps it is near a river that still flows, like the Rio Grande. Perhaps it is on a high, defensible mesa that offers both security and access to springs, like the lands of the modern Hopi or Zuni. Here, you join with other groups of survivors, other refugee clans, forging new communities, new alliances, from the remnants of the old one. You begin the backbreaking work of building new homes, clearing new fields, and establishing new ceremonies that blend your old traditions with those of your new neighbors. You have survived, but you are not the same person who left the stone city in the canyon. You are a survivor, a refugee, forever marked by the trauma of loss and displacement. You carry with you the vivid memory of your lost home, a place that will grow more beautiful and perfect in the stories you tell. It will become the stuff of legends, a tale told to your children and your children's children, a story of a golden age and a great sorrow. You are the beginning of a new chapter for your people, a chapter built on the foundations of a world that is now, and forever, lost to the silence of the desert. You, the individual, have faded back into the deep river of time. Your personal story, your aches, your fears, your small joys absorbed into the great, collective narrative of your people. But the world you left behind, the magnificent stone cities you built and then abandoned, did not vanish. It slept. For nearly 1,000 years, your homes remained silent, magnificently preserved by the dry, sterile desert air. Your plazas and kivas, slowly, gently, filled with the wind-blown dust of centuries. The world forgot you. When a new people, archaeologists, and explorers from a future you could not possibly imagine, finally arrived and began to carefully brush that dust away, they did not find a dead end. They did not find the grave of a failed civilization. They found a beginning. They uncovered the stunning, undeniable testament of a society that rose to incredible heights of social complexity, architectural genius, and spiritual depth long before any other in this half of the world. They found the origins of the Pueblo people who still inhabit this land today. The legacy of your people is not one of powerful kings, bloody conquests, or hordes of golden treasures. It is something quieter, more subtle, and ultimately, more profound. It is, first and foremost, a legacy of resilience. It is the story of turning a hostile, arid desert into a thriving agricultural homeland through sheer, brilliant ingenuity. It is the story of check dams and terraced fields, of a deep understanding of hydrology, and of the symbiotic genius of planting the three sisters together. It is a story of magnificent engineering of great houses that were astronomical observatories and cliff dwellings that seemed to float in the sky, all of it built without the aid of metal, wheels, or beasts of burden. It is also a legacy of peace. In a human history so often written in the blood of war and the subjugation of others, your civilization stands as a powerful and inspiring exception. For centuries, you chose cooperation over conflict, trade over tribute. Your greatest societal investments were not in weapons and fortifications, but in the creation of vast public spaces for ceremony, in the bonds of community, and in the pursuit of beauty, expressed in the intricate, geometric perfection of your pottery and the subtle artistry of your textiles. And finally, it is a legacy of profound adaptability. When the world changed around you, when the rain stopped and the corn withered in the fields, your people did not simply lie down and die in their ancestral home. They made the heart-wrenching, courageous choice to leave, to walk away from everything they had ever known, and to begin again. They migrated, they merged with other groups, they transformed, and they endured. They are not a lost or vanished people, as romantic myths sometimes claim. That is a harmful falsehood. Their direct descendants live on today in the vibrant, thriving Pueblo communities of the Rio Grande Valley in New Mexico, in the ancient, windswept Hopi mesas of Arizona, at Zuni, at Acoma, and in other villages. The languages they speak, the ancient ceremonies they still perform, the clan systems that still structure their societies, all of these carry the living, breathing spirit of the world you once knew. Tonight, as you lie in your soft bed, in a room with perfect, effortless climate control, a glass of clean, safe water just a few steps away, the chasm between your world and theirs is almost too vast to comprehend. The daily, grinding, physical labor required for the most basic necessities of life, the constant, gnawing anxiety of drought and starvation, the ever-present intimate specter of disease, injury, and devastating loss. The sheer physical and psychological toughness required to wake up each morning and face that reality with courage and purpose is something we can barely fathom. The story of the ancestral Puebloans is not a simple cautionary tale of environmental collapse. It is a testament to the extraordinary capacity of human beings to create a complex, beautiful, and deeply meaningful world in the face of the most overwhelming odds. Their great houses, now silent, sun-bleached ruins under a vast and silent desert sky, are not monuments to failure. They are monuments to a valiant, thousand-year struggle for life. They remind us that survival is never guaranteed, that civilization, in any era, is a fragile and precious dance, and that the echoes of those who came before us, their triumphs, their sorrows, their wisdom are still whispering to us from the stones, if we only have the patience and the humility to listen.